All right, everyone. This episode of WrestleMagic, we are giving an interview to the legendary valet and wrestler, Miss Babydoll. Ma'am, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you on, ma'am. And joining us as well will be my good friend, King Scully. Scully, how are you doing, man?
I'm all good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. And it's always nice to have you on because I always like to have your side of perspective. You can always look at things a little bit differently. But anyways, so getting into the interview, for anybody who doesn't know, Miss Nickla Roberts, aka Babydoll, has worked with many legendary names and tag teams throughout the business. So it was an absolute honor to have her here, and I hope we can inform some people about her career. So starting off, Scully, do you want to ask the first couple of questions?
Yeah. So the first question is, so it's starting when you was young. And I've seen this on the internet, so it helps, obviously. Both of your parents were wrestlers. And what was it like to grow up in a wrestling family?
Oh my gosh. For me, it was perfect. I love professional wrestling, so it would have been very tragic to have the love that I have and then had parents that didn't understand what I was going through. It was really cool to have like my dad on TV every Saturday advertising for our weekly show. And then my mom looking like Marilyn Monroe and quite dressing the part. I mean, it was a pretty cool childhood.
Interesting. I like the perspective that you have on that your mom and dad were able to be on TV and you were used to seeing your mom dressing like Marilyn Monroe almost. That's pretty cool. Something that I had read, and I want to ask you about if this is true and if you can give us some more details on it. So I read something about that initially you were going to be going on a different career path entirely, but then you went to WCCW to be a valet for Gino Hernandez. Is that true, ma'am, or?
Well, that's absolutely true. I was actually in college. I was studying to be an EMT. I only had like 2 weeks to go. Class of 16, I was in like the top four. I loved it. I wanted to be a paramedic and do the ski patrol and go up to Colorado and do all that. But I'd heard my parents talking about Gino and the role that he had and what they were going to do with him. And they were thinking about putting a black girl with him, like for a bodyguard, because that would get a lot of heat back then. And so I thought, well, like as a bodyguard, oh my gosh, I would be perfect for it. So I actually called the Dallas office and kind of gave them the idea about how about me and I would work. I looked the part. I could be whatever you wanted to, and it just worked out that being at the right place at the right time and having the right look and looking like I can actually beat somebody up was in my favor.
Awesome. Glad that you definitely had the look and everything. So how was working with Gino Hernandez as well? I am intrigued to hear this.
Gino's very much like Flair. Whatever you see on TV is the persona that they are. There's no A side, B side. That's who they are. They're very flamboyant, womanizing, money, the whole thing. That's them. I mean, they absolutely live their gimmick. Gino had the red Corvette. He had a high school senior as a girlfriend who had the diamond ring and drove a brand new 300ZX. I guess her dad was like big time car dealer or something there in the Highland Park area of Dallas. And Gino definitely had the secret life. It was interesting for me to watch the dark side tales because even though I knew him for years, and when I say I know him, I mean he came and worked for my towns, my dad's towns, and then I worked with him for a couple of months there in Dallas. I really didn't know him. And then I didn't know he was married. I didn't know he had kids. I knew that he had kind of that secret life in Houston, but I didn't quite understand it until I saw, the episode. And then it's like, oh my gosh, he definitely had a dark side and was almost like a Jekyll and Hyde.
And that's a good way to look at it almost, or kind of how I would see it too. A Jekyll and Hyde persona. You see one thing, but then behind closed doors, you hear something else. And you're like, that can't be true. But do you think that it had helped his wrestling career to live that persona? Or
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was no one else like Gino that at that time, or I don't want to say in the history of wrestling, I'm sure that there's been someone that's close. But I mean, he was perfect for the role in Dallas, and especially to go up against the Von Erichs and get beat up. And who doesn't want to see the rich boy, get his head shaved and, the whole thing. So he was perfect for the part. But you didn't realize it at the time that he had, like a wife and a family on one side. Then he had the Houston drug scene, bar scene down there, and then he had the wrestling with the Von Erichs and touring all over Texas, Oklahoma, in that area. Also, so 3 different lives easily.
Okay, so 3 different lives. That seems like a lot to keep up with. Just even thinking about it seems like a lot.
Even one is enough for some people, but yeah, and kids involved in everything too. So yeah.
Oh, definitely. Scully, do you have any thoughts on the triple life of Gino Hernandez as well, or?
To be fair, I can imagine it. Like, you can imagine, like, on screen you're someone else, and then backstage, like, you have your own personal life, don't you? But not everybody's the same. Some people are true to themselves, and some people just pretend to be someone different, I guess.
Right. But how do you have enough hours in the day and enough lies, and how do you keep it all straight? Because you're lying to several people. There's no way you're not lying to somebody.
You got to be telling all kinds of lies to be able to keep up like that.
Well, that makes me think, actually, have you seen, I don't know if both of you might have seen it, but Coldplay recently played a gig, and it's gone
we're the CEO, the astronomer.
Yeah, so there's somebody for you.
Well, that's and then the guy supposedly blamed Coldplay, of all things, of all the bands to get caught cheating with.
Of all the ways to get caught. But so that actually does bring me kind of to my next question that I'm thinking about. So what did it mean to be a valet back then to you?
A valet? Me. Oh my gosh. Well, I had Sunshine as like my role model. So whatever Sunshine did, I was going to do more and better and be prettier and tougher. And whatever Sunshine did, I was going to do better. It meant going to the ring. It meant getting heat. It meant traveling with the guys. It meant good money. It was a lot of things. And then the interaction with the fans of actually having people hate you that you had never met in your life. And yet you're going to make them hate you enough to where next week you're going to get $20 more from them.
The real role is a villain. And that's a nice way to look at it, I guess. I mean, you're getting money out of them even though they hate you,
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to make them enjoy spending the money. I am not going to have, from everyone that I've spoken with, not one person has regretted spending money to see me work. And that is a goal, especially after 45 years of being out here and doing interviews and appearances and pictures. And it's just amazing how much I'm still able to do, but not one person has gone, God, I'm not going to pay to see her again. It's always, I want to see her again, and that was it. That was the main thing, especially like what Jake taught me and what Tully taught me, was make them give up their money, be happy to do it. Don't have them regret, like, but be happy. Man, I'm going to pay to see that get beat. Excuse me, but that's it.
It's all right, and I can see that being the way to look at it. Be a heel enough that even if the face isn't that great of a wrestler, they still just want to see somebody beat you and come in week after week. I want to see them get beat. And this may be a little bit off topic, but that's kind of what I see the Paul brothers have done with boxing to an extent. I kind of feel like maybe they're just being heels and annoying everybody so much that they just want to keep tuning in. Maybe that's their strategy, is they've took WWE and wrestling and used it to move it over to this. And maybe that's just one way to do it. But anyways, so you had mentioned Jake and Tully Blanchard, and I do want to ask you, so what other role models did you have in the business, and how influential were Jake Roberts and Tully Blanchard to you?
Well, I had my mom, because my mom, wrestled in like the 50s, and she had like her little suitcase with she had a couple of like her wrestling outfits in there, and there was a pair of like high heel pumps and wrestling boots, so I could go through there and just kind of imagine what it was like. There was of course Terry Funk. I mean, if it wasn't for Terry Funk, I would have not wanted to be a wrestler. I fell in love with wrestling watching Terry have his very first matches and evolve through my childhood and his adulthood into the wrestling star that he became. Um, it was quite a treat. And then, of course, Sunshine and was it. And then with my mom and Penny Banner, those were the main ones right there.
Okay, interesting. So I
Yeah, who
actually,
would put Terry Funk and Sunshine in the same bowl? But I do.
I was kind of thinking that a little bit too, just because like it's not the two that I would expect to hear together, but it's fair. And I do want to pass it back over to Scully because I feel like I'm kind of hogging the spotlight here. Scully, go ahead, ask some questions, man. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's no problem. You're doing a good job, mate.
Appreciate that, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, so at events when you was young, you sold programs for your dad, is that correct?
Right. Uh-huh.
And then, so how old was you when you actually were allowed to go into the ring and wrestle?
Okay. My parents were very, very strict. I mean, the way that some promotions are now, like they let the kids get up and jumping around in the ring and play and stuff. With my dad, it was a business. It was no happy fun time, no play. There was no playing in the ring. It was serious business. I remember being like 5 and 6 years old and being able to answer the phone and tell people what time the wrestling show was on because it depended on like some like whatever the sports features were that weekend. It might be 2:00, 4:00, something like that. So it kind of had a floating time for a while. So people would also call up and want to know what the wrestling card was. It was like a live hotline. I mean, we answered the phone pretty much 24/7. Which was interesting because every once in a while we got the phone call at 1:00 on Sunday morning, the drunk guy, because our phone number was 765-7070 and the taxi cab number was 765-7777. So a couple of times a month, we actually got the drunk guys wanting to get like the Uber taxi ride home, and we couldn't explain to them that we had wrestling tickets and could we make a reservation, but that's about all we could do for them. So starting out, I answered the phone, and then as soon as I could carry 4 steel folding chairs, then I became part of the ring crew because that's how we stacked the chairs. We had 640 chairs that we traveled with. We had a big ring trailer and we had a chair trailer. And the chair trailer, we could fit 640 chairs on there. So whenever we could carry 4 chairs, and we became ring crew. And then when we could make change for $20, then we became part of the concession. So it was a graduated scale of what we could do to what our abilities were. It was the more we could do, the more money we got. I mean, and Dad paid us well. We made good money doing that too. And then we could drive. We put out wrestling cards. My brother and I would put out wrestling cards on Saturday morning. We would put out 63 of the cardboard wrestling cards. And I'll look back, I would try and save those forever. And my mom kept throwing them away going, well, who's going to want those? Nobody's going to want those. And now I've seen some cards sell for $300 and $500.
It's like throwing money away.
I know it. It's bad. I had programs saved. I had posters saved. I mean, a poster with like the Sheik and Giant Baba and Tommy Truda and Dory and Terry Funk and Harley Race. I mean, I would have had all those posters because they went all through my dad's territory. I could have literally put both of my kids through college with the money if I'd saved half the stuff that my mom threw away. Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Ain't that life?
I know how you feel. I had a load of wrestling figures, and I had all the old school ones from the late 80s and the early 90s, and I think
when they first started coming out.
Yeah, is it Hasbro or whatever they were called? And I had all of them, and I had a big bucket full of them, and then I left them with my mom, And then I went, where's my things? I like to give them to my boy when he's older. And she said someone stole them out of a garage. So,
Oh man, that sucks.
yeah.
I thought I had the only mom that did that. Oh, well.
No, unfortunately not. But so Scully, what's your next question there, brother?
When you started, your image, your gimmick was like a punk hair. So you wore like leather jacket. Do you still have any of the gear that you wore back then?
I'm trying to think if I might have some of the leather gauntlets, and I did have the dog collar, but I'm not sure where it's at. I have more Babydoll stuff. I really didn't save any of the Andrea stuff. I wish I had now, because it's just crazy how much, people want to buy stuff and the memories and the whole thing, but we never thought to save it. We just wanted to go on to the next big thing.
Yeah, and like you used to like, is it like Aerosmith and bands like that?
My oldest daughter's middle name is Tyler, or Steven Tyler.
Yeah,
because her name is Micah Tyler Smith. And then if she was going to be a boy, like if my first one was a boy, the name was going to somehow be Arrow and be Aerosmith. But I thought for a boy's name, like Arrow, how cool is that? Oh, what's your name? Arrow. My name is Arrow. I mean, how cool is that?
well,
That's pretty cool.
It's definitely unique, isn't it? There's not many people you see with that name.
Right. But you have to admit, like a man, like if he was a model or something, what's your name? Arrow. You'd have him right there.
It's true. And now that we're speaking about names, I don't mean to cut you off here, Scully. I'll pass it back to you right after this one. But I do want to ask you, ma'am, where did you get the nickname Babydoll from?
From a strip club in Texas.
Oh, all right.
I guess it was the favorite club of either Dusty or Tully. And it was a strip club. And plus, then who doesn't want to be called Babydoll? I mean, even now people are saying, well, how do we call you? And forever, I want to be known as Babydoll. I love it.
Okay. At least it's not taken in a wrong way. I know today, if anybody had said, oh, yeah, I'm going to name you after a favorite strip club, then, people would probably lose their minds and just see it as disrespectful. But I'm glad that you can kind of take it as,
it
endearing.
Depends on what the name is. I mean, if there's some pretty raunchy names, but Babydoll is so cute and it's innocent, but it's kind of naughty. And it's, it's a play on words, and stuff. And, BD is always a good, and it's a whole play on words, because I am not a Babydoll and I am not a perfect 10, but I will certainly tell you that I am. And Ric Flair is going to convince you that I am, because I am perfect. I was perfect for the job. I was perfect for the image that they wanted. It just completely worked. And even though it's like how Gino and Flair are completely what they are, I am not Babydoll, but I am Babydoll, the perfect 10 now, which is cool,
Okay, interesting. I kind of like the story behind that. It's pure and it's just what it was. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And yeah.
But then when you have women too going, well, she's not a perfect 10. Who does she think she is? And guys going, well, she's not, she's okay, I guess. But then they're going, well, she is pretty and, she is tough. And, it's a whole thing of like, I will convince you that is, and then people will argue that I'm not. So there's automatic heat right there.
True. I never thought about that.
Then when you go in North Carolina and tell Tully that I'm glad you called me because the women here are ugly, and yes, you need a little refreshment from these ladies.
Amazing. Something I did want to ask about, actually a friend of ours had mentioned. So you said something about that you used to make pico de gallo for Dusty. Is that true?
Yes, it's true.
How was it? I got to know now.
Okay. When we had the Gulfstream and the Learjet, we'd have to get there still, even though we were saving time by not having to fly, we'd still have to be there 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, get there to get checked in, the whole thing. Well, we didn't have like flight attendants or flight service or Uber Eats or anything like that. It was basically whatever we picked up on the way to the airport. So to score points, I was just like, wow, I can make some pico de gallo and chips and bring it. And they loved it. And this was before pico de gallo was even a thing. And coming from West Texas, And Dusty and Tully, and oh my God, they just loved it. And it's just tomatoes, onions, jalapenos, and cilantro. And depending on how hot you want it, depends on whether you leave the seeds and the membrane of the jalapeno. So for Dusty, his had to be like ungodly hot. His well, then I had kind of the milder for like Jimmy Valiant and some of the other guys that didn't want, like the whole heat. But yeah, I would make like the big Tupperware, probably a 2 gallons at a time, and then 2 big grocery sacks. And I would actually get the corn tortillas and quarter them and fry them up and bring them.
Oh, wow. So you made them fresh.
I am perfect. I was perfect for the job. I used to make like Tully's and mine hotel reservations. I had what was the OAG. If anybody like traveled back in the 80s and 90s before computers and stuff, there was the official airline guide, and we got it every 2 weeks, and it had every domestic flight listed. So that if I need to get from St. Louis to LA at 2:00 in the afternoon, I could pull that up right there and know what flights were. And then I had all the 800 numbers memorized. I always had change. I was very efficient.
I see. That's pretty cool that you were almost partially manager role as well with that you were.
I was. I wanted to be indispensable. I wanted to be someone. I didn't know what my role was, but I knew it was more than just going to the ring and doing what they wanted me to. I wanted to be more kind of like in the office in a way, but not being in the office because I'd get in trouble. But I was really good at like being able to get off the plane and get the car rented and be all the way around and meeting them at baggage claim by the time they got their bags. That was my game. I wanted to see if I could get, it was always a little game.
Something to keep you motivated, I guess. And that is pretty cool. The same friend actually had also mentioned that you grow produce in Canada as well. Is that true?
I actually do.
Really?
I live on a small farm. The man that I was very fortunate to marry, we have 8 acres up here in the Appalachian Mountains between Hickory and Lenore. I started out, I've got about a garden with half acre. I also grew tomatoes with my father-in-law 2 years ago, and we grew so many tomatoes that I personally canned 94 quarts of tomatoes.
Oh, wow.
And when you think about it, that's more than 20 gallons.
Man, that's a lot.
And then I went to, I was going to get some big plastic flower pots. I had a Facebook Marketplace, had met somebody that had a landscaping business and was selling all the big tubs that they had trees in. So I had to drive about an hour down the road to go meet up with them. And I've got like a 2002 Buick Century. So I'm thinking like, okay, how many of these can I fit in the car and still get back to Hudson? So whenever I get back there, I meet up with a guy, and his wife is yelling off the front porch if I know how to make pickles. And I'm like, yeah. And so I'm yelling back and forth about how to can pickles and deal with this guy. And I'm like, I have reached a new level of redneck. But it did.
Hey, if it works, it works. And I just do want to give.
Yeah, I went on YouTube and just taught myself. I grew up in West Texas, which is so hot. I mean, it's just so hot that this time of year, there's just no way you could can and be sane. So whenever I got out here, everybody cans. And so I went on YouTube and taught myself, and I did green beans and blueberries. Oh, in fact, just the other day with my 90-year-old neighbors, I was picking blueberries and corn and squash.
Oh, wow. That's actually pretty awesome. I'm glad that you're able to find enjoyment in just simple things like that and going out and kind of the farm life.
Yep. Go be Babydoll on the weekends and raise chickens on Monday through Friday.
Heck yeah. And I just want to say before I pass the mic back to Scully, shout out to our buddy Jimmy for giving us those little tips because it's pretty helpful.
Good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Scully, go ahead with your next questions, man.
Wow, I was just going to say you'd have a field day in where I work because we just sell garden pots. So you could have all the garden pots you want if you wanted them.
Oh, I would take all of them, believe me.
And the only thing I've grown in my garden, and I didn't look after it, to be honest, was some rhubarb. And it was and it was quite good. And then we also had some strawberries, but to be honest, I haven't bothered with them this year, so my bad.
Yeah, you have to keep up with it. It's unforgiving if you don't.
Yeah, definitely.
So there is one thing that I've actually been wondering, Miss Babydoll, if I may ask this. So who exactly were the first people to really train you? And were you training initially just to be a valet, or were you also training to be a wrestler at the same time?
Oh my gosh. The only real training I ever got was probably in 1987 when I trained with Nelson Royal to actually train to wrestle. Otherwise, my very first match, I wasn't smart to it. When Ken Mantell and Gary Hart and Gino Hernandez and Stella and Mike Von Erich and myself were in my dressing room in San Antonio, Texas, and they gave me what they wanted me to do in that match at Joe and Harry Coliseum the Sunday before Labor Day. I was like, oh my gosh, that's how they do it. And when Ken Mantell said, do you understand what we want from you? And I said, yes. And he says, well, what do we want? And I said, you want me to be big and strong and badass and look like I can kick somebody's ass. And he said, that's exactly what we want. That's what we want from you. And when they left, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's how they do it. That's the dance. And even though I had grown up in the business, I was 22 years old. I had seen literally thousands of wrestling matches. That's the way it should be. That, like your very first match should be the first time that you kind of know what's going on. So I didn't have any training. I didn't have any, or no one even showed me how to get in the ring. They just thought that because I grew up in the business, I would be smart to it. And
Jeez.
by the grace of God, thank you, he gave me the ability to be athletic and be able to look the part and not kill anyone or hurt anyone, and to draw money and, be exactly what the promotion wanted. And no, the first training I had was actually 3 years after I got in the business.
Okay, so it took a little while to get there to the point of actually being trained, and they just kind of expected you to know it.
Once I trained to be a wrestler, I never was a wrestler. So all the training was just, I wanted to be at the right place at the right time, but they took Robin, my sister-in-law, instead. And that worked out perfect because her matches with Sherry were stellar. I mean, there's no way I could have had a match with Sherry like that. It was her time to shine. It was perfect.
Okay,
I'm glad
there's no bad blood or regrets with that. That's actually a nice way to look at it.
In fact, I'm going to see her and Sam in like 2 weeks. There's no, why would I? Here's the deal with me. I am not going to spite someone because I didn't get it. I'm going to be happy for them, because if I'm bitter, that's just going to make it all bad. No, she was, oh my gosh, how could I? She sang the Star Spangled Banner for WrestleMania. I am so happy for her.
It's really sweet, actually.
That was my question. I was going to ask, because you tried for WWF in 1988 and Robin Smith got through and you didn't, but I was just going to say, how did you feel about it? But you obviously give us your answer. So
I am perfectly fine with it. I was sewing gear at the time, and really and truly, I don't want to take bumps. Bumps hurt. And I don't think that people realize that the number of people that want to be wrestlers and can't be wrestlers because they can't get over the fact that you've got to fall, and you've got to fall really hard, and you've literally got to throw yourself down to do it right. And ever since we were like small babies, we've taught ourselves, don't fall, it hurts. And it does. Well, to be a wrestler, you've got to teach yourself how to fall and fall hard, and to where your liver feels like it's going to bust. And not for me. I'm not that tough. I mean, I'll hit you and I'll fight you, but I'm not going to do that other stuff every night. My daughter, Samantha, I don't see how she does it. Oh my gosh. You talk about a role model. She's my role model.
Oh, that's kind of sweet. So something I also did want to ask about. So I did a little bit of reading up on you, and I saw some of the tag teams that you had worked with between the Road Warriors and the Rock and Roll Express, and having some feuds with Jim Cornette. And I wanted to ask you, how was your experiences with Jim? And then which were your favorite teams that you had worked with?
Oh, I love working with Rock and Roll Express. Even to this day, I work several shows a year with Ricky. Hardest working man. Oh my gosh. cheering rock and roll and the getting the people with us and the whole thing from the time we leave the curtain to the time we get back. It's turned up to 11. Yeah, Rock and Roll Express was really so much fun. The crowd just loved them so much. And then with Road Warriors, to Hawk and Animal to say that you're really tough, baby doll. Best compliment ever.
Oh yeah.
And even Midnight Express, working with Bobby and Dennis for that short time when Jimmy was hurt. That was good. I wish we could have done more off from that, but it was just so short. It was fun because I look back now at everyone that I got to work with, and I got to work with so many champions. So someone was said that, yeah, you should be Baby Doll manager of champions because look, I've worked with just as many champions as most of the WWE managers have. And I was only like 2 years.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. But so how was your experiences working with Jim Cornette?
Brutal.
Really?
Brutal. Yes. Well, I was 24 years old. In 1986, I was 24. So to have someone say that you're ugly and fat and you're a beast and you shop at the Junior Moose department. And yeah, I'm a big girl. I'm not going to say that I'm not, but back then I wasn't fat. And, it was rough. But then it was like what Sam told me. He's like, how are those checks? I was like, oh, they were good. The checks were really, really good working against Cornette. So it was just like nobody else is making that money. And we realized that it was for a short amount of time. So, and to be a wrestler, you kind of have to just kind of suck it up, whether you're babyface and Cornette's calling you fat or whether you're heel and the fans are calling you fat. Oh, well, I'll go to the bank either way.
Great way to look at it. I like that outlook, just that it's like, you know what, doesn't matter. I'm getting paid. It's cool. But yeah, so I do appreciate it is a nice outlook, and maybe some of us need to learn how to use that ourselves. But anyways, Scully, what do you got next for us, man?
So we've already touched on it a bit that you had the female version of Andre the Giant. What was Andre like as because obviously you hear lots of stories about him. I've seen lots about him, and he seemed like, as they said, like a friendly, soft giant, I guess.
He was one of the nicest guys. He worked for my dad a couple of times when my dad was promoting Lubbock. And I remember driving him actually from a show from I want to say Odessa to Lubbock. And so he was in the front seat of my dad's Bronco and he's drinking and we're talking. And I had just gotten back from a trip from Germany. And we were talking about the best part of it. Well, there was a vodka there. It was a buffalo grass that was in the vodka and it was so good. And so he was familiar with what I was talking about. And so I didn't think anything about it. Well, a couple of months later, maybe, I got a package. And so my dad's wondering who Frenchie from North Carolina was that had mailed me a package. I have no idea who Frenchie was. I don't know anybody in North Carolina. And it was 4 bottles. It was a case of one of the Buffalo Grass vodka. So that's how kind he was. Some bodunk little girl in Lubbock, Texas in 1980 that drove him from a town, and he's making sure to tell Frenchie to send me a case of vodka.
Man, what a guy.
Yeah,
right?
That's amazing.
Super guy. Super, super nice.
Yeah. Yeah, everything you've seen about him, he seemed like a nice guy. There weren't any, I've never seen or heard a bad thing about him. So,
And you would have, with his size and what he could have done. Oh yeah.
But I don't think I've tasted that vodka before, to be honest.
I don't know. It's still around. I looked it up online, but yeah, it's a Buffalo Grass. I was very fortunate. I had a boyfriend that in it was 80. That I went to Munich during Christmas and New Year's, and it was beautiful. Oh, it was so fun. We did the Christmas markets and up in the rooftop for the fireworks. It was cool.
Is vodka your drink, is it? Would you say?
Yes. Well, I'll do a light Pilsner beer or, vodka, because if I do any of the whiskey or scotch or something, not good.
Interesting. We're learning a little bit about Babydoll's drink of choice here. I kind of like the personal view here.
Drink of choice, a Bloody Mary, heavily garnished, always my favorite choice.
I can't
And
stand
if I
vodka.
mowed the yard, a beer with tomato juice, clamato juice. That's it.
Interesting. So, one question that I do have for you with us mentioning Andre and everything. So, where exactly did the Lady Andrea name come from? Sorry to steal that from you there, Skull. I know you had it written
I
down,
have
but
no. It was from with the Dallas office, and I hated it. And I very rarely called myself Andrea. Even Gino hardly ever called me Andrea. Marco Lawrence several times called me Nickla. So it was kind of about 50-50, either one. I didn't like it. I thought it was disrespectful to Andre because I'm not even close to 6 foot, let alone 7 foot. So it was fine. It was fine. It's wrestling and it's supposed to be what it is, but oh
I
well.
mean, yeah, it's a character's name at that point. There's nothing wrong with it, especially everybody knowing that it's all in good fun. So,
Right.
yeah, it's a character, it's a name, but it didn't have to last. And it didn't necessarily last, but I mean, you lasted, and that's kind of the important part, right?
Right. And I knew that my time in Dallas was short because we knew that when Sunshine came back, if she was better, if her rehab had gone well, then that was it. I mean, we were just there for this short amount of time while she was doing rehab, and when she came back, she looked beautiful and she was all better. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and my time was short, but it was memorable. Made good money, made good friends, stepping stone to North Carolina. So yeah, it all worked out brilliantly.
Hey, I mean, good friends and good memories is what life is all about. So, what were some of your
Yes.
favorite memories from your career overall?
Favorite memories. Oh my gosh. There's just so many. And it's cool because I think the best part is being able to go back to YouTube and actually see the TV shows that we weren't able to see back then because we were traveling and kind of watching yourself wasn't the cool thing to do. Um, I love hearing the crowds and I love hearing the reaction, especially like when rock and roll music comes on or Dusty's music or something, and actually being able to relive that and knowing what it feels like to be in a like an arena of 20,000 people and they're so loud that you can feel your lungs shake. That was the best part.
And it's
That
all
was
for
cool.
you at that point, whether it's positive or
Mhm.
negative, you're feeling just that bass almost in
Yep.
the whole arena. Everybody is screaming, whether they're cheering,
Mhm.
booing, whatever, you feel it all for you.
When you've got the reaction that you can feel it in your lungs and your heart and you're just standing there, best part ever. And what's sad is that I don't know if it's sad because it's different, is like with WWE and the pyro and the whole the whole big foray of it. Do they really feel the crowd, or that they can feel the fireworks and the pyro and everything, but it's just not the same. I can get that from the fireworks show across the street, but to actually feel the crowd and that emotion, that's pretty cool.
It's a good way to look at it. So something else that I have been wondering about, and I honestly am not sure where this answer may go, but I do want to ask you where or how exactly does the valet position differ in today's wrestling world? Because you don't really see valets as much. Do you think we've just kind of evolved past it, or do you think it's kind of becoming a lost art, or what do you think is going on with the valet position now?
Well, I don't think that girls could actually be just a valet. Like whenever I was working, I was very fortunate because Tully and Dusty both agreed that the less I was touched, the more heat and the more attention I would get. So now it seems like the girls have to do like triple moonsaults off the top rope, or otherwise they're not even going to look at you. When all I had to do was just go out there and smile and clap and just be there and get heat. Girls can't do that now. Girls have to be able to do. Okay, this is what a girl has to do now. They have to be able to walk on their hands from the guardrail to the ring and pull themselves up in the ring to get noticed. I didn't have to do that.
Man,
Totally different.
standards have changed. It's a good way
Yes.
to put it,
And
honestly.
and I'm not saying it in a bad way, because yeah, I'm patting myself on the back because I got over. That's all I had to do. But the girls today having to do that, that's amazing. That is, I couldn't have done that. You know what I'm saying? But they do it to get over. I did what I had to do to get over. It's all changed. So it's the role of ballet. You can't have a girl just go out there and do what I did because it's all been seen before. You have to do so much more.
No, I didn't really think about
I
that.
was new. I was new. No one had ever seen me, so I could do whatever I wanted to.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it feels like it's kind of a dying position, at least for a woman to be in that position. Yeah, I haven't even really thought about
I
that.
mean,
How much
what
more?
can they do? What can they do that hasn't already been done?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean,
And
you
a
have to
typical
take.
manager can
You
do
have
that.
to. You have to do something totally different and look totally different and just be. I don't know. I think what's really interesting, and this is like on a totally different and how we ended up here is going to be perfect, is my daughter is now a manager in NWA for their girls tag team champions. So how many girls are managers? And yet my daughter is now for NWA for their girls. So see how that's taking what I did and doing almost a complete 180, and now look at what she's doing.
Interesting. I didn't realize that. So your
Mm-hmm.
daughter's in NWA? I had no idea.
Yeah, Samantha Starr. She's been
Oh,
there
wow.
2 years. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. So, all right. I look
And
forward to
she,
watching more of her.
okay, since you're not, okay, she is the only third generation female wrestler on both sides of her family. 3 out of 4 grandparents, both of her parents. Jake the Snake is her uncle, and Rockin' Robin is her aunt. She's the only girl with third generation on the female side, where her mom and her grandmother were both wrestlers.
Oh,
She's the
wow.
only one out of the whole world. There's a lot of third generation wrestlers, and especially a lot of third generation girl wrestlers. But there is no third generation where mom and grandmother and daughter are all in the lineage.
And getting the whole family tree involved at this point.
Mm-hmm. Almost as good as the Samoans, but not quite.
They do have a long lineage, but hey, Scully, you want to take over for a little bit? I'm sorry, man. I feel like I'm hogging the camera here.
No, it's no problem. What do you think about the fact that the men and the women don't fight these days? Like back then they used to, and then in the Attitude Era you'd have like the Dudley Boys putting Mae Young through a table, for example. But nowadays they don't want the men and the women to mix in that sort of way. What do you?
I don't believe in the intergender at all. I think even though like with women's wrestling, like women are beating up on each other, it's not the same as like when a man beats up on a woman. Even China, as big and as beautiful as she was, she could not fight a man. And to make it seem like she was going to beat all these guys, I think it was disrespectful to the guys that had to put her over. I really think that women have their place and men have theirs, and I like the heat that you get when when the woman has to tag out to the guy because she can't fight the other guy, and then she's got to tag it out, and there's so much more dynamic than can be brought in the mat. Because I mean, really and truly, if a man beats up a woman, what has he done? And then if a woman beats up a man, that never happens. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's, I guess it can be done, especially on some indie circuits, but I don't like it to see it being done. I don't want to see a man hit a woman. I just don't.
Yeah, I think because I went to
You're taking all the heat out of everything that you could actually be doing with something else.
Yeah, I went to an event just the other week, and their main event, it was only like a small show. Their main event was a man versus a woman, and the woman won, which was obviously for the crowd. But
right.
For me, it wasn't enjoyable to watch. If you get what I mean. Like,
yeah, I do. I completely get it. I mean, it's even though I'm big for being a female, I know my limitations when actually fighting a guy or a dude. I just can't. I mean, there's only not going to happen. I'd like to think it was going to happen, but it's like with my husband. I mean, I know He's 4 times as strong as I am, at least, and not even trying. That's just the way it is. And I believe that you can have angles like what we did with Cornette and myself, where, like he did the cheap shot and got all the heat with hitting me with a tennis racket. But then for 24 shows after that, I got the better of him, but I didn't wrestle him. I basically hit him and arm drug him and pinned him, and that was it. So, and got the big pop, and everybody was happy for it. But they knew that even if I was supposed to fight Cornette, what is that going to be like? That would be a big joke. But I can sure arm drag you and make you look good.
That's very true. And, this kind of brings up to mind for me anyways. So about Tessa Blanchard, actually, a few years ago, do you recall or were you watching at the time when she had become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion?
Yes.
Yeah, so I do just want to know your opinion on that because, she is very talented. I will give Tessa Blanchard that.
And the only problem is that, okay, she starts beating guys. How many guys is she going to end up beating? Because it's just, I don't know.
Just kind of makes them all look bad.
Make those decisions, because there's so many girls out there. She doesn't have to work against guys. There are literally 100 girls that she can work against. You beat a guy, then you beat a girl, then it doesn't mean if you beat. Okay, if in my mind of thinking, if you beat a guy, why are you ever going to wrestle a girl ever again?
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of makes.
Where do you go from that? Where do you go from that?
Yeah,
and then this was during COVID, and the crazy stuff was happening, and people were, trying to do stuff and draw and keep attention and the whole thing. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just that maybe it shouldn't be done. I'm not. Who's to say it's wrong or right? Because it's wrestling. There's no wrong or right. But where do you go from there? I guess is my question.
Yeah, exactly. And so with that, how did you feel about the Andy Kaufman gimmick back in the day? Do you feel like it was just something of the times and he was just garnering his heat from it and then walking away from it? Or was that something that like you kind of viewed as extremely negative?
It made everybody a lot of money. I remember like my dad was upset about it because it kind of showing wrestling in a different light rather than just out and out brawling athleticism. It also had some comedic sketching into it, but it made us a lot of money, and it made wrestling a household name there for a long time. And then right after you had Andy Kaufman, then you had Eddie Mansfield with the blading thing. So there during the 80s, that was a wild time for us.
Absolutely. Scully, do you have any?
Yeah, so going by that, what Mav just asked, what do you think about like celebrities being involved in wrestling? Like right now you got Logan Paul feuding with Jelly Roll, for example.
Right.
And I think there was on a show and Jelly Roll chokeslammed Logan Paul through the table or something.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't want to see that, but what do
you have to think that athletes, kids, we're all wrestling and playing around and choke slamming each other and the whole thing. So it's Jelly Roll and Logan Paul are like two big kids having it out and hoping to draw some money in the meantime. I really have no problem with it because I guess like when Trump first provided his casinos for what was it, WrestleMania 4 and 5, that opened it up for celebrities and whoever wanted to get in wrestling at that point, because it just took it to a different level. At that point, wrestling became mainstream, and you had like the local indies and even like the smaller promotions like with Crocket and WCW. But then you had WWE, which took it to the entertainment level, and it just took it to a whole different genre after that point.
Yeah, celebrity endorsement does go a long way. Bringing in fans of anybody, it does help out. But I do understand kind of where Scully, I think it can be annoying when it's like in your face too much. If it's like, oh yeah, we're seeing just celebrity versus celebrity for a lot of a card, and it's like, okay, I came to watch wrestling. I didn't want to watch, you know. X, Y, and Z. But, it's a little bit off topic there. But yeah, it's a nice, refreshing view to hear appreciation for it.
That's a good thing about a good wrestling card is there's going to be so many different things to see. The whole card isn't going to be Logan Paul and Jelly Roll. That you're going to have girls, you're going to have tag teams, you're going to have championships, you're going to have a whole thing going on. And hopefully out of that whole card, 4 or 5 out of 7 or 8 are going to get your interest.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. All right. So we're getting a little bit closer down to the wire. I think I'm tapped out on the regular questions. Scully, do you have anything left to ask, bud?
The only last thing I would say is, obviously you said your daughter manages women's tag team. What do you think there should be more women managers in like WWE and AEW and stuff like that? Because I remember when in like the Attitude Era, definitely in like the early 90s when you had Sensational Sherry and then you had Sunny, and then there was quite a few of them, wasn't there? Do you think there should be?
Now, I mean, who's a manager now? I think Scarlett Boudreau will manage for her husband a little bit, but
there isn't really, is there?
There's really no managers. I guess no. MVP maybe a little bit in AEW.
Yeah,
but not like the Mr. Fuji's or
Cornette
the Albano or the Bobby Heenan. There's none of those guys now. No, I don't think AEW's got anybody. WWE doesn't have anybody. Not that I can recall it. Now watch there be someone.
Well, there's Paul Heyman, I guess, but it's just.
Yeah, but Paul's.
He's kind of.
Yeah,
I guess
it's true, but there's one. There's one.
Yeah,
but he's not on every show, and he's only like with Roman right now, or they switch around.
It's switched around now. So he's helping Seth Rollins or something.
Okay,
they made some faction, but I don't understand because I grew up watching it since I was like 5 years old, and everyone always had a manager, and like there was quite a lot of them,
right?
And I always found
the promotion had at least one or two. You at least had a heel manager somewhere.
And then I think like you'd have Miss Elizabeth with Macho Man, and then and then you'd have, like I said, Sensational Sherry as well with Shawn Michaels,
and then you had Mr. Fuji like with Demolition,
and Yokozuna,
Bobby Heenan with the Brain Busters.
Yeah, $1 Million Man was a manager at one point as well, but
Virgil was his manager. Was his manager.
Yeah, but it's just I don't understand why they don't do it anymore, because it was just
not.
And I do think some wrestlers do need a mouthpiece, because not all their promos are entertaining.
Right.
Very true.
And it just adds to it. It's kind of like, well, what are they going to do? And it wasn't always what I did. It's what y'all thought I was going to do.
That's true. Come think about it. But so one thing that I did want to ask you about, and wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about it a little bit. So I've heard that you are going to be doing a signing very soon, Miss Babydoll. Do you want to let the crowd know where you'll be? And
Yes, this actually 2 weeks. I'll be on this. Oh my gosh. The 31st, 1st, 2nd. Yes. July 31st, 1st and 2nd is the gathering in Charlotte at the Hilton University Place. Martin T. Mart Promotions is presenting this. It's amazing. Oh my gosh, just everybody's going to be there. And it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They've got my daughter's going to be in the first ever women's tournament Saturday night. I'll be signing Thursday with Magnum and Tully, and then there's a barbecue Thursday night, and then Friday there's a big banquet, and then signing all day Saturday. So yeah, the gathering in Charlotte coming up the 31st, 1st, and 2nd.
Gosh, that sounds amazing, and I wish I was stateside so that I could attend something like that. But man, that sounds really cool. Anybody that you're looking forward to seeing while you're there?
Oh my gosh, my daughter. I haven't seen her since May. So yes, my daughter.
Of course.
And everybody else, but yeah, I haven't seen Samantha since May, so I look forward to seeing her.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad that you'll be able to, reconvene with your daughter and hang out for a little bit. So We are getting down to the end of the show here. As always, when we end WrestleMagic, we like to ask our guests for any kind of recommendation for the audience. So, do you have any recommendations for the audience, ma'am? It can be movie, TV show, video game, cat breed, dog breed, your favorite recipe. It doesn't really matter. Just something that you like that you think everybody should try.
Okay. My new obsession, and I'm sure it's on everybody's Facebook feed, is the new guy from England that was at Ozzy's farewell tour, Youngblood. Oh my gosh. Dom is amazing. I have to go see Youngblood in concert.
My daughter loves him as well. She plays his music. But I was more Ozzy Osbourne, me.
Right. See, I'm more the Dom. I like the Youngblood because he reminds me of Gerard from My Chemical Romance, and he reminds me of Mick Jagger, and he's got the music and the look and the voice, and hopefully we'll see some good things from him. But it's cool that your daughter, that's so neat.
Yeah, she listens to him
who would think
quite
that
a lot.
6-year-old woman would be on par?
That just shows how cool you are.
Well, it just shows like the whole genre of his appeal to everyone. I mean, he reminds me very much of like a very young Mick Jagger, but then the eyeliner and the goth look is Gerard from My Chemical Romance. And then his song Zombie is very much Creep. So
funny because I've actually listened to him a little bit too occasionally because he did a collaboration I want to say a couple years ago with MGK, and I remember it wasn't bad, and yeah, I kind of do like the way his voice sounds. But anyways, so we are still getting to the end here. Ma'am, can you let the audience know where they can reach you?
I can be reached anywhere. I've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm very vocal on all of that. If you can't find me, just do a search of Nickla, Nickla. I'll pop up somewhere.
All right, fair enough. Hey, Scully, you ready to do your sign off, man?
Yeah. I'm just find me on X at Michael Scully 86. I guess that's it. And we now have a TikTok channel, which is WrestleMagic Pod. So
nice. Glad that we're getting the word out there.
Yeah.
And, all right, guys. So you know how I usually end the show. Do something nice for somebody. You never know who needs it out there. Somebody always needs a pick me up somewhere in life. You never know when it's going to be you that needs it. But yeah, with that, you guys can always reach me at Maintenance Mav on Twitter. And with that, we're out.
WrestleMagic.
This has been a James Rock Street production.